I've been in international trade and sales for more than 30 years. I haven't seen something like this.
Is to work on looking for ways more value can be added to what Chile exports to China. Pandemic is global. And unless you look for global tools, unless you look for cooperation.
在疫情期间呢，全球的贸易必定是缩减的。那在这样的一个特殊时期，像瑞士和智利这些对外贸易依存度较高的国家，怎么样能够迅速找到自己的经贸支撑，来促进多边合作，避免单边主义的滋生呢？我们今天来听一听智库专家们的分析。
So what is the status of the outbreak in Chile right now?
First, we have a relatively high number of cases in Chile. Second highest in Latin America, over 3,000. But the good news is that the fatalities have been quite low, one of the lowest in the region. The government has been very proactive. They have been tracing people that are ill. They are isolating them. And let us keep our fingers crossed.
As we can see, the trade volume between China and Chile in recent years have been going up. How do you think pandemic is going to affect the status quo?
And for quite some time now, for 10 years now, China has been the #1 trading partner of Chile. Now, with everything that has been happening, obviously that will be affected. The price of copper has gone down. Chile is the main producer and exporter of copper. China is the #1 importer or consumer of copper. I think what we need to do, it seems to me, is to work on looking for ways more value can be added to what Chile exports to China. One of the things I pushed for when I was at the embassy in Beijing was to expand Chile's refining capacity. And China has some comparative advantages there. Some of the biggest copper refining plants are in China. China has some very up-to-date, cutting-edge technology in that regard, and that is something we could work on.
And we also know that banking, tourism, and insurance, these are the pillar industries for Switzerland. And how do you think these industries would be affected by the pandemic?
Normally we have winter season with skiing and so on, so all the Asian, from January on, Asian tourists didn't visit Switzerland anymore, or only a few. And then when summer vacation comes and the countries are still locked, so I think the outlook is very, very bad. And then you mentioned banking. I don't see a huge impact for the banking industry. We have a little bit troubles because the Swiss franc is super strong compared to other currencies like the euro and the US dollar. Then insurance, yes, is a very important part of the Swiss industry. And there might be also a huge impact because the reinsurance company, the biggest reinsurance company, might face some huge claims. Let's see. Now, at the moment that this is in full swing in Europe, it's very hard to predict even the next 2 months. I've been in international trade and sales for more than 30 years. I haven't seen something like this.
Jorge, we often hear the term unilateralism in terms of international politics and international trade. How do you think we can improve global coordination and cooperation among different countries?
And some people have said that what we have seen in the course of the past few months is sort of the end of globalism, the end of globalization, and the return of the nation state. The fact that many countries have essentially closed their borders to foreigners, and others have banned the export of medical equipment and protective gear would seem to confirm this. Now, I would say that the failure of the European Union to help their own members, the case of Italy was quite dramatic in that sense. At the same time, I would say there may be a silver lining in the midst of all this. One of the things that has come through is that countries have realized that the notion of just-in-time inventories, that you really didn't need very many things because you could always order them from halfway across the world, including medical equipment. If people realize that you cannot fight a global pandemic with just national solution, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You know, by definition, a pandemic is global. And unless you look for global tools, unless you look for cooperation, unless you have early detection mechanisms, ways to short circuit the pandemic, this will repeat itself. I mean, pandemics have been with us, you know, since the beginning of time. But we need to take the measures to avoid them. They now travel much faster than they did in the past. And that means we need to cooperate a lot more.